Здравейте, уважаеми зрители! Вие сте с предаването конкретно YouTube каналът на Поглед.инфо. Аз съм Георги Стамболиев. Уважаеми зрители, днес ще говорим и ще задаваме въпроси на доктор Пол Крейг Робъртс. Той е изтъкнат американски икономист, бивш заместник-министър на финансите в администрацията на Роналд Рейгън и създател на ключовия данъчен закон Economic Recovery Tax Act от 1981 година. Крейг Робъртс е бил преподавател в Джорджтаун и в Станфорд, отличен е с френският орден Легион до Онор за принос към икономическата наука. Той е също и автор на над дузина книги, в които интерпретира икономически и политически процеси през призмата на личната свобода и критиката към държавната централизация. Mr. Roberts, hello and welcome in our studio.
Thank you.
As we spoke in the beginning, it is very hot in the United States. Here in Bulgaria is also very hot. But not only as a climate, as a temperature, but as a political and geopolitical behavior also. I would like to start with a quote from yesterday from Miss Ursula von der Leyen. She was in Tokyo, in one of the universities over there, and she said something that was, after this was published in a lot of medias in the European Union. This part that I have here is from the newspaper Politico. And she is telling us that the world is changed forever and it's time to deal with it. And also she is saying we simply cannot accept to be shaken around by the seismic changes that we are facing or yet again fall for the storms and to hope that the storms will pass, that things will go back to before and only a war in the one region ends and everything will go back, because the geopolitical cross currents are simply too strong and the very foundations of our security and prosperity are simply too shaky. That's, I guess, one of the first signs that she is admitting that something is going on in the world, not only in Ukraine. The main question is, since finally the things that we are speaking, you are speaking as our guests, our guests are saying, is that hello and welcome to the new world. Is this the new world and the new reality better for us, or we are approaching something new that the society is not ready for?
Well, what she says really makes no sense, because the conflict is gratuitous. It's entirely creation of Washington and NATO and the EU. What they have done is to make an enemy out of Russia, but also an enemy of China and also an enemy of Iran. So here we see a European leader, if that's what she is, complaining about the consequences of the West having made gratuitously three powerful enemies.
Yeah.
So the way to avoid the consequences is not to create enemies. What has Russia done? Nothing. What has China done? Nothing. What has Iran done? Nothing. There have been no attacks on the West or the United States from these countries. We've seen Putin now for 3.5 years ignore every provocation, including a Western attack on Soviet strategic forces, which under Russian war doctrine required a strategic response from Russia. But what did Putin do? He simply ignored the war doctrine by saying, oh, it wasn't an act of war, it was an act of terrorism, and so I don't have to do anything. So clearly, here, there's no threat. He does everything he can. And the consequences of Putin always turning the other cheek has been to encourage more Western provocations. And now we are faced with the next provocation being the delivery of long-range missiles that will be used to attack Moscow. Well, for the West to support that type of policy is madness. There's a limit to how long Putin can ignore that he is at war with the West, and that it is the choice of the West to be at war, not Putin's. So he can't avoid it forever. So that's one reason her comment is stupid. The other reason it's stupid, she's talking about the economic situation in Europe. It's true, they're in a pickle, but it's not Russia's fault. It's the fault of the American sanctions. It's the American sanctions that's driven up the energy cost in Europe, that's made German industry uncompetitive, that's stifled everything. So the Europeans, by being essentially American puppet states, have brought the economic troubles on themselves by accepting sanctions. And so the cost of the sanctions have not fallen on Russia, fallen on Europe, yes, and on American investors in Russian companies.
Of course.
All Americans who invested in Russian gold mining or oil, they've been dispossessed by the idiot American presidents. So this is all, the world hasn't changed. It's just the West has gotten more stupid and more aggressive. And it's the fault of this woman. She is in a high position. She should be leading Europe, not acting as a puppet for Washington. So that's the real problem. There's no leadership in Europe. There hasn't been in decades. There are no European leaders. There are only American puppets. So Europe, essentially, there's no independent policy there. They can't have an independent policy.
But is this because of the United States policy that they want a puppet, or is just a lack of leadership in the European Union?
They can't lead because they've lost belief in themselves. There's no longer a belief in nation states. If there was, there would be no EU. So all of the countries, by joining the EU, essentially are repudiating the concept of a nation, of nationalism, of sovereignty. They're prepared to turn over their sovereignty to some other entity called the EU. The transfer hasn't been completed. It's not total, but it's well advanced. And the EU is the creation of the CIA. It's like Tolkien's, J.R.R. Tolkien's book, The Lord of the Rings. One ring to bind them all. Well, that's the EU. It binds all of the countries. And the CIA said it's too difficult to control each of these countries. We'll put them all together in one unity. Then we can control one unity.
Okay, but in that moment, the logical question is, does the European Union have a future as a union in the future or at all?
It's not really a union. I don't think Europe, Western Europe, has a future. They're failed states. Every state in Western Europe is failed. We had recently, the British Prime Minister, as recently as 2 years ago, Liz Truss, in an interview in Hungary, said, some entity has taken control of our government. It blocked me, the Prime Minister, from doing anything. I couldn't do anything, and then they threw me out. Well, what is this entity? It's the private organized interests who will not accept any policy that cuts across their interest. We have them in the United States. We have the Israel lobby. There's no one in Congress dares go against Israel. We have the military security complex. No one dares go against the American military security complex. We have the pharmaceutical industry. No one dares go against big pharma. Agribusiness. These are the men in black. A senator or a representative or a president who sponsors a policy that cuts across their interests gets a knock on the door and is told, no, you're not going to compromise our interests. We've already seen it in the Trump administration. We saw that Trump's tariff list, it's full of exemptions. We saw his deportations, it's full of exemptions. Yeah. We can't deport restaurant workers, farm workers, chicken slaughterhouse workers, because agribusiness said, you're not taking away our workforce. We saw it with the Secretary of Health, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. All his life, he's campaigned against vaccines, especially the COVID vaccine, which is clearly responsible for millions of deaths and health injuries. The evidence is overwhelming. What he tried to stop the recommendation by the Centers for Disease Control of the COVID shots. He was blocked. He was only allowed to stop the recommendation for healthy children and pregnant women, but he couldn't stop the recommendation of the shot for everyone else. He has stressed for years that glyphosate, a chemical used in agribusiness to spray crops, it kills the weeds but doesn't kill the crop. It's very toxic. It gets in the air, the soil, the water. It's now found in human bodies.
Yes.
This had to be banned, and then he had to announce, well, we can't ban it because it's important to the production function of agribusiness. We can't take it away from them. So you can see what I mean by the men in black. It's not some secret society that the Rothschilds are running. It's the organized interest groups of the powerful economic interest. Why are they powerful? Because they are allowed to purchase the government with campaign contributions. The Supreme Court of the United States gave them the right to buy the government, and the government's bought. The Congress is not able to represent the people. It has to represent the people who give it the campaign contributions that put it in office. So as long as you have the money in politics, there is no connection between the people's will and the government. They say it's democracy, the people, but the people don't count. They have no input.
Obviously,
they have
this
no
is.
input.
I'm sorry. Obviously, this is economic drive, financial drive. But is it possible to divide politic and the lobbies that you have mentioned, or at the moment they're so close that something big needs to come and to separate them?
It can't be divided as long as money is in politics. As long as money is in politics, the men in black have more power than the government and can stop any policy cuts across their interest. So this is why there can be no peace. There cannot be peace because the military security complex needs enemies. If it doesn't have enemies, it doesn't have its massive budget and its massive power. If we have no enemies, then it doesn't have the power when it knocks on the door. Because what do we need you for? We don't have any enemies. So this is the reason there can't be any peace, and there won't be. And it's the reason, it's one of the reasons for continual strife, wars, or near wars. The military security complex would prefer that we're always on the verge of war, but not ever at it, because it can get out of control. But if you're always on the verge of war, you always got to have more weapons, more preparation, more military. So they prefer that there's a high level of tension, like it was during long periods of the Cold War, than to actually have to go to war. So I think that is a good answer to your question, and I think it explains a lot.
Yes, it is explaining. What about Musk? Is he in the situation like the Minister of Health that you have mentioned?
Who did you ask about?
Musk, Elon Musk. The situation over there in the political aspect, is this the same scenario?
Yeah, there are many constraints on him, particularly that he's involved in a lot of federal financed activities. So, a lot of his activities, particularly his space operations, these are government operations. So he's very much dependent on the government financing and participation. And he's taken a lot of risk with his wealth. And he's trying now to start a new party, a new political party, because the Republicans are really not much different from the Democrats. They're not a fighting party. They go along to get along. Trump has so far got them behind him, but they're not really behind him. Particularly the ones they call rhinos, Republicans in name only, which is the majority of the Republicans. So Musk says we've got to have a real party that represents the people, but who's going to finance it?
Yeah, well, only himself.
So it's not going to happen. It's an idealistic concept.
Oh.
And he's right. We do need a real party, but it has to be financed, and the people with the money aren't going to finance it.
The same situation is in Bulgaria, actually. I guess it's not only United States and Bulgaria, it's all over the world like this. And this is because in the bottom of everything is money, and not only money. Everybody wants more money. But what about the situation in Gaza? You have mentioned Israeli lobby over there, but in Gaza, is there money behind everything that we have seen and we are about to see in the further months?
Yes.
Again,
Israeli money and influence. You know, the Israelis have been very clever, presenting themselves as victims against which nothing can be said. You say anything against Israel, it means you are anti-Semitic and you want to destroy Jews. And so this has become a paradigm of politics, and nobody will go against it. There are no cases of any member of the U.S. Congress, House or Senate, who criticized Israel surviving in office. They're all removed the next election. So it's a tremendous power, and there's money behind it. If you get on the wrong side, if you're an elected member, and you get on the wrong side of Israel, then all the campaign contributions go to your opponent. Plus, the Jewish influence in the media is turned against you. They start making scandals against you. So the money is turned against you, the media is turned against you, and this is real power. And it's the same thing happens in Britain, in Germany, in France, in the United States. And we see even Putin accommodating Israel and being quiet about the extermination of Palestine. So no one says anything because it means they are insensitive to the poor, victimized Jews. And they've all been trained to see every Palestinian, even little babies, as terrorists. Every Palestinian is a terrorist who wants to destroy Israel. And so it's perfectly all right for the Israeli Defense Force to shoot little children in the head because they're terrorists. Mm-hmm. So there's no complaints about an ongoing genocide. What is it now, 690 days long? And no one has come to the aid of these people who are being exterminated. In fact, President Trump continues to send the weapons and the money and to provide the diplomatic protection.
But does it mean that not only the, like you said, men in black and the lobbies, we have another one hidden government, like the Jewish society. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, the Israel lobby is like the men in black. But
they are part of.
They have perhaps the broadest reach. They can reach even into state and local governments of red states, of Trump states. For example, in Texas and Florida, anyone who criticizes Israel is not permitted to have a contract with the state. You're not allowed to provide a product or a service. You're not allowed to work for the state. So if you say, Israel is committing genocide in Palestine, and you are, say, an accounting firm supplying accounting services to Texas or Florida, you're fired. Israel can reach inside Catholic universities and repeal the tenure given to professors who criticized Israel. For example, there's the case of Norman Finkelstein, very prominent Jewish scholar who was given tenure at a Catholic university, and Israel had it overturned. He's not been able to have an academic appointment since. There's also the case of the Palestinian professor in Virginia with tenure who was hired away from Virginia by the University of Illinois, sold his house, resigned his position, moved to Illinois. The Israel lobby was able to reach inside. This is a state university, inside the university, and have the university withdraw the tenure they had awarded him, leaving him unemployed, no home, no place to put his family. And he found a job driving a school bus. Well, these are not unusual cases, but it shows you the extraordinary power.
Yes, that's correct.
And if I had a job and I was dependent on a job, I would have been fired long ago. Mm-hmm. And this is the situation. So the notion there's free speech, it's a lie. There's no free speech. The notion that, and this is true throughout the West. In fact, free speech can get you in serious trouble in England, in Scandinavia, in Germany. There are all kinds of things you can't mention. You go to prison. It's starting to get that way here. I am
offering to make the pause here for the first part and to continue in the second part with more. I don't want to say less realistic, because we are going to speak about politics, but at least more positive things.